Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Search Podcast. I'm Elliot Manning, joined today by Stewart Cherry, who heads up Oliver James across the US. Is it New York? I mean, there's a big business, a huge brand that we're excited to, work and partner with, from our side. But it'd be good for you to introduce yourself, Stewart.
Yeah, thanks, Elliot. Thanks for having me, and obviously congrats on this latest venture of yours. It's good to see people showing some initiative during COVID. I've been with Oliver James for 9 years, and 5 years to the day yesterday that we moved out and set up the US operation here. So headquarters in New York. We cover North America. Market in general, so across the states, but primarily focused on sort of the East Coast and sort of the south of the country. It's our main areas of expertise.
Fantastic. So tell me, Stuart, how have you found this year, I suppose? I'll just keep saying every time I do one, it's just like the last 4 months, the last 5 months, it just seems to be ongoing. How have you guys managed? How have you managed? And, kind of what's been happening?
It's been an absolute dream, hasn't it? To have this sort of experience. If 2008 wasn't tough enough, and the downturn in oil and gas in 2014, you might as well throw in a global pandemic as well. So, why not? You need to test yourself for these things. I think, honestly, it's strange to say the last day of Q3 that we're sitting here talking. I think it's been a really exciting challenge to go through something like this. And I don't mean that in a facetious way. I think it's brought its own challenges invariably, and everybody has struggled and everyone has suffered in certain ways, and we're no different to that. But I think from experience that I've been in the recruitment industry about 11 years now, and the experience that I've had when you are faced with these things, you can't have too much self-pity. You can't have there's no point being negative about these things. It is what it is. You can't control it, and all you can control is your own area. And that's what we've really sought to do. So, thankfully, I'm sitting here talking to you, as I say, the last day of September, and we're in a strong position. But it's certainly not come without some tears and some stresses along the way.
Yeah, definitely. And what I'm interested to know is, right, in your position, you've got all this responsibility. A huge weight on your shoulders, to not only run everything, obviously what you're doing, but all the people that work and kind of rely and look up to you in the business. How does that, how do you manage that yourself? Is there something that you've taught that? Are you, someone in your position in another business, what would you advise them?
Really good question. And I've watched numerous of your podcasts, I think the most recent ones with James Osborne and with Rob and Harrington Starr, who's also out here in the US. I think when you are put into these situations, you learn so much more about yourself and what it is like to be a leader or a director or whatever your job title is. But you are in this capacity. Obviously, we've got British, we've got Americans, we've got Australians, we've got people from different nationalities in our business. But the majority of them who can't go home, that they're here for now. Therefore, your role of being just, say, their director or their manager, it changes because you also then have to, you're it sounds a bit twee when you say this, but you're also becoming part of your family, and you're there to help them personally with the struggles and challenges that people have faced. Lockdown, we're back in the office now, 2-3 days a week at the moment in our new office in Midtown Manhattan, and that's been great, I think, for people's own mental well-being, because working at home for 5-6 months on your own, many people maybe live in an apartment by themselves. That brings its own challenges, especially sales professionals who like to be around people, who are outgoing, who are engaging, who are affable, who like to be around and like to have company. I think that's been a huge challenge. And I think for me personally, but also for Oliver James as a business, the development of that sort of leadership and management community has probably been one of, if not the biggest successes that we can take from this whole messy affair that we've all had to endure, since March. If you're in Asia, December, November time of last year. So look, it's not come without its challenges, but I think we've hopefully learned a lot from it. And obviously learning a lot from mistakes and still looking to learn some more before this is all over?
No, look, I think a lot of businesses, and having spoken to many business owners, have really kind of learned a lot about you touched on it. They've built a very strong personal bond with their staff and the business, a lot more than they probably ever would have.
Yep.
Which I think is extremely important. And a lot of people say, don't get too close to your staff, don't get too personal, but I think that's nonsense. You kind of need to, especially in these circumstances, and these people are the ones that are helping you with, being in the business position that you're in now. But at the same time,
people know, like, if you're being genuine or not.
Yeah.
Are you putting your arm around their shoulder? Because we're a business and everyone understands that. And I don't think you need to explain that to people, but you can still be genuine, with caring about how someone is and helping them through difficult times, trying to be there as a support network. When we've had people who've been ill, we've had people who've been homesick, we've had people who've had challenging situations with family and so on. And, you've got to put, everything else to the side at times and rally around those individuals. Because collectively we're all go through challenges, we're all go through difficult stages at this point. So I think it's been a real positive from it, and again, I don't want to sound, I'm sure you've heard this message time and time again, the 14, 15 shows you've done already, Elliot, but that for me is what I've seen is probably one of the biggest positives.
Yeah. I'm loving seeing the industry kind of keep pushing on, and especially with you guys, you've still got, aspirations to keep going. And, from an outside perspective, it doesn't seem like, which is good and a compliment, it doesn't seem like you guys have been, affected as much as such, which is fantastic, which has allowed you to kind of be in a position that you're in now. What's the plans? Where do you see yourself going with the business, for the foreseeable?
No, again, it's really interesting. Just to add a bit of context to it, we talk about Oliver James in the US. We've been here on the ground for 5 years. So September 29th, 2015, we moved out here. We were working in the US market for about 7-8 months while we were in Manchester prior to that. Yeah. But, it was myself and two others sort of consultant level people that were first on the ground. And I think your conversation with Rob from American Star, who was first out, that brought its own, obviously appeal and challenge, but we've grown now to, I think we're 42 people in the US office. And we've actually grown throughout COVID. We've added numbers to our desk, we've added quality people to our desks, which has been really, really pleasing. Again, the reality is, and again, it's not a marketing exercise for the business here, but we will be close to, say, 50 people by the end of Q1. But over the next 7-8 years, why should we not be aiming to get to 300, 400, 500 people? Yeah. If you take Oliver James as a business, set up with 2 people in 2002, and now we're 450. The US is a bit of a microcosm for that. I think the explosive growth that we can have here will enable us to do that. So again, we're wanting to get through 2020 in a strong position and finish strongly. And we're making the hires thanks to yourselves, of course, as well, which has been great. So thanks for your support on that. But to driving through to 2021 and 2022. So we're in again, I know it's easy to say this, but we're in a really strong position. And I think for any recruiter out there that is wanting to join a business that is growing, that is expanding, that is hopefully trying to create some form of normality, being back at a new office, in Rockefeller Center, I hopefully feel that we are doing that and we're providing that, which has been really exciting. I'll be honest with you, it's been really, really exciting.
Just want to rewind a little bit. How long has it been since you started in recruitment? How long have you been in the game for?
2008. So 2008 I joined Michael Page, yeah.
So if you rewind back to that, to the point of, now what, 12 years or so later, you're now, heading up the US office, gone from 3 of you to 42 people. Yeah. That's just unbelievable, right? And something to be extremely proud of. And when I see that, it's just phenomenal. And there's a lot of recruiters and a lot of people out there that want to see the light at the end of the tunnel and see something like that they can achieve. is there anything that you can, say to anyone that's kind of got you to where you are now, and what you've done in particular or not to, I suppose, keep fighting to be in this position?
To be perfectly honest, I think that's the word. Like when I was at Page, it blew my mind. When I joined Michael Page, there were people there who were just so switched on so early, and I was very green, very naive, commercially and entrepreneurially even. And it was a really good education, to have that experience and to get beaten up a few times and to come out with probably more, war stories than success stories. But it's surrounding yourself with the right people and leadership that believe in you and that will give you an opportunity to succeed. Yeah. And again, I think that's one thing that anybody that's walked through the door at Oliver James, whether they're still with a business or that they've walked out of the door, I think will always say about Oliver and Ollie and Jimmy, as we would know them as two individuals who just really want to see you succeed. Yeah. And I feel that you can have all the ability in the world, I think you can have all the work ethic in the world, I think you can have the ambition and drive. But if you don't have the right people ahead of you, pushing you and pulling you and trying to, and genuinely want to see you succeed. Yeah. You're always going to be fighting an uphill battle. And I think a lot of it is, there's some phenomenal recruiters that I've come across in my time, in various WhatsApp groups, speak to various, peers and people more experienced than I, and they're just phenomenal business men and women. But it's about being in the right place at the right time with the right people. Yeah. And I'm sure you hear that more than anything. You're a business owner yourself. You set up your company, 8 years ago? Yeah. And you seize that opportunity. Yeah. And I think that's just what it is. It's putting yourself through your work and through your results in the right place. And then when the opportunity comes along, you do everything in your power to hold on to it and do everything in your power to make it a success.
Yeah. You've got to learn the hard way. You've got to put the pieces together. You've got to be around the right people. I wouldn't be in the position I'm in without, someone I work closely with as a business partner who's supported, me to be able to get to where I am, same as yourself. And I think ultimately, whether you run a business or not, you're still running your own kind of business in a sense. And that's, what you've achieved is something I don't see very often, which is fantastic. But, kind of moving forward now, back to today, from the people listening into this and, doing their research into Oliver James as a company, what would you want to see from, those recruiters joining your, mission, I suppose, to get to 50, and to 100 plus, at some point in the future?
I mean, if you look at us as a business, with our global offices, every single office that we've, obviously got leaders in, they have all come through the ranks. Yeah. They've all come through as consultants, and that's from our offices in Asia, the UK, Europe, and then obviously the States. Myself and my colleague Tom, who run the operations here, we've all come through the business, and therefore the opportunities to do that as a consultant here are there. People ask me those questions in interviews a lot of the time, or when I deal with yourself, or dare I say it, some of your competitors. You want to put your finger in yours there. But when they ask me the question about the growth opportunities at Oliver James, I do try to point to the people within our organisation who've done that. The guys in the UK, Ben, Rick, Gary, who are all the directors in the UK, they are people who are consultants, who I work with them, and it's not, they're just really, really damn fine people at what they do. They put the effort in, they put the work in. And for us, I think that's just us as an organisation. Yeah. That's just the way it is. It's a meritocracy, and I appreciate you will hear that a lot, but it truly is. You can come in and you can expand and accelerate your career very, very easily. And the growth opportunities that we've had, that I've experienced and I've benefited from, we hope to do that tenfold, over the next sort of 5 to 10 years. There's a point that James Osborne, I think, said in your podcast, I think it was been out recently, that one thing that he's looking for throughout this COVID and the back of COVID, we're through it, is that people take us as recruiters, as an industry, more seriously. Yeah. And I feel that in the 5 years that I've been in America, I have seen that change. Before I moved over here, people viewed, I think, recruiters, so there was a perception of recruiters, it wasn't a career, it's a job. until you worked out what you wanted to do. And I certainly see when you see other businesses that are coming out here, British companies, Australian companies, companies from Asia, as well as the US companies. I think they're showing now more than ever that this is a brilliant career for people to get into.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and it's an absolute pain in the backside, as you and I can attest to. Maybe we could do that on another podcast. But yeah, I think that's it. If you're motivated and driven, but want to work hard and want to be held accountable, but want then to get responsibility and opportunity. I don't know. There's not many other industries that you can have the earning potential or the career progression or the opportunities to travel and live abroad as you do in recruitment.
Oh, it's crazy. And especially since I've been doing the US market for a couple of years, and the earning potential and what I've seen is amazing. And a lot of people have called me candidate wise and said, look, I want to be in recruitment. The first question obviously I'd ask is why? Why do you want to be in it for? And I used to 5 years ago get people calling me saying that because, a friend of mine mentioned it, it's just a job. So you're completely right in what you've said, US, UK, it's completely changed to the point where it is a career. There's a lot of money to be made. And trust me, I've seen it firsthand. I'm sure you have as well. I've seen people earn fortunes in this market, whether they even have just been in it for a year or two or 10 years. I've seen people who've been in recruitment for a year and a half earn more than people that have been in it for 10 years, depending on their kind of ambitions and wants. It's there for the taking. You just got to want it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's for self-starters. It's for fast learners. It's for people who are tenacious and persistent in things that they do. And it's a phenomenal place. We've got some a big goal for us, and I'm sure you'll hear this a lot when you speak to British or international recruitment firms that are in the US, is that we want to see the US candidates, our US consultants come through. And that's such a major drive, and it's such a huge joy for us to see, the Americans that we've hired, we've nurtured, we've developed, be successful. It genuinely is such a buzz because it is a different mindset. It is a different way of working at times. In terms of the various markets, but that's been a huge positive for us, and to see that happen and to see those people progress, stay in the business, develop in the business, I think has been one of my major one of the things I take most pride in, I suppose, for want of a better phrase. Pride in them, obviously.
Good. Last kind of final thoughts. If you could change or learn anything in particular for yourself to help you develop, what would it be?
If I could change or learn? Yeah. I think it's really, really good to hear how other people have done things and the trials and tribulations that they've had to endure along the way. So things such as this platform that you're creating, speaking to people in the industry, I think is phenomenal. Obviously, you're reading, listening to various podcasts, different things about different industries. I personally really like listening to, about sports coaches, managers, etc., because they're dealing with highly energized, highly competitive, highly skilled individuals. In sport, and I think in sales and recruitment, we're doing something very similar. People who've got, egos, people who've got ambitions, people who've got drive. And the other thing is there's a plethora of personalities and driving factors. So I think to understand people better, to understand what makes people tick better, and to understand as a leadership community what we can do to harness that, and to nurture that. I think for me, that's going to be a big thing. I think that's something that I continually want to learn. I feel that I should continue to learn, obviously, but it's definitely a major project for me to understand and improve in that area.
Fine. It's good to know. Have you seen the program on Netflix about the coaches?
Oh, which one's that?
So there's a new thing on Netflix. It's got 4 episodes. Jose Mourinho, the guy that manages the LA Clippers basketball teams on it.
Oh, very good. Right, yes, we'll check that out. And
there's 3 other people, and it's out there leading how they've got to win championship. Absolutely, amazing. Share it out tomorrow. But
yeah, I just read Phil Jackson's book, on the ex-coach of the LA Lakers. About sort of dealing with the personalities and individuals that he would have had to deal with, Shaq and Kobe and so on, which is fantastic. And I think it's, again, learning's a lot easier when you're reviewing something you've been interested in.
Yeah, but if you can take bits from all the sort of stuff that you've mentioned, then that's kind of what you want to hear and see. And obviously use the line to see what you're trying.
Yeah, very, very much so. Very much so. And it's great as well. I mean, one of the big things I think I would suggest to anybody, and it's something I wish I'd probably done sooner, is getting feedback.
Yeah.
Getting that 360 feedback as quickly as you can, because you need to understand what you're doing right.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you need to understand where you need to improve. And I think, again, coming in recruitment, where you're dealing with egos, a lot of people don't necessarily, they're not always that open to hear the bad things about how they've done.
Yeah. But no, look, honest, Stuart, absolute pleasure speaking with you. I know you're extremely busy. I really appreciate your time on this. It's been really interesting to get to know you, definitely, first of all, and kind of virtually meet you as well. And when I'm next in New York, which hopefully is soon enough, then
maybe, or whenever.
Definitely. It'd be good to come meet up with you guys, and 100%. Anyone listening to this wants to reach out to you guys, I'll be tagging you into it across all the social media platforms, so they can go to you directly, reach out with any questions.
We love it. I mean, we're interviewing extensively at the minute. So we've moved into this brand new office. I think we've got some pictures up online in Rockefeller Center. It's awesome. It's really, really great. It's a really brilliant facility. We're delighted to be here. And the things we're hiring, we're scaling well, and we're performing and getting good results. So, if people are interested in that and want to have a conversation, at the very least, happy to do so, be it directly or via your fine selves. It's no problem at all.
Sounds good to me. Stuart, have a good rest of the day, and we'll definitely speak soon.
Good to speak to you. Thanks very much.
See you soon.
Thank you.